Yeah. So before starting any event, we must seek the blessings of Goddess Saraswati. So after that, I will introduce the speaker in the session. So, on behalf of MIT Meerut, would like to welcome our expert speaker today, Dr. Pranjal Kumar Fukan sir, in the webinar. Dr. Pranjal Kumar Fukan sir is an internationally and nationally recognized academician and industry professional with 27 plus years of experience in supply chain management, clean energy techniques, business analytics, green project management, blockchain. He holds a doctorate in business administration from the prestigious Swiss School of Business and Management in Geneva, Switzerland, and accredited management teacher AMT from IMA, New Delhi. He is presently working in climate change and natural resource management from the last 15 years, focusing on community resilience, biodiversity conservation, and ecosystem management. Now, I request Dr. Pranjal Kumar sir to start the session. May I request Pranjal sir?
Yeah. First of all, very good morning to all of you, and I'm again thankful to ICT Academy for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts with all of you, all distinguished members present here. And I'm also thankful to MIT for this opportunity because you know that this topic, today's topic, and the topic which has happened for the 24th onwards is very, very important for any institution of means any higher education institutions in India in parlance with new education policy 2.0. One thing I will also request the ICT Academy to be someone in co-host so that they can also allow participants to join because it may be disturbing when I'll be presenting. So, like I'm admitting all people who are actually like to join, but I would like ICT also to be a co-host and allow these people to join. Now, with this, I'm now going to share my screen so that you can understand. 1 minute. So broadly, this is a very you can say descriptive subject. So I will just have an introduction to this outcome-based education, which is very much required for any institution of higher education to come up with the policies as per NEP 2.0. And you know that now there is a lot of dramatic changes have been happening. So these institutions need to tie up their belt for NRF, NAC, NBA, ARIA, and many other things because you must be knowing very well what NEP 2.0 has mandated. And I am also, apart from OB, I used to do lots of sessions for the universities and higher education institutions related to NAC preparations, NBA preparations, NRF preparations, because I'm also part of many prestigious institutions, IQAC cell as a core member. So starting with this, first of all, we should know why this OBE, after Washington Accord, India signed Washington Accord. After that, why this is very much relevant to higher education institutions, specifically the institutions who are dealing with professional educations. So first of all, we should know the issues which we have faced for so many years in our higher educations, like we are having the issues of accountability towards students. We actually have to satisfy their need for the industries and entrepreneurship. We must be knowing that prime ministers also, wherever he goes, yesterday also he was saying that India is the second largest startup ecosystem having in the world. So we need to understand how to satisfy the need of the students who are admitting in your colleges, an aspiration that they will someday be an entrepreneur or they will be having some good jobs, lucrative jobs. And also we need to maintain the academic standards, that is the standards of those programs which are unaccredited. Okay. And then we need to be accountable to those organization industries who are providing grants for research grants or you can say academic grants. But accountability is also required because slowly you can see from NEP 2.0, government is focusing more on the institutions to be center of excellence where they have to sustain themselves. Means they have to earn and they have to survive because there is no other way of like any more government subsidies or any other government support because you must be knowing that institutions who are having NAC A and above, they can apply for the deemed universities immediately. Deemed universities means they have the full autonomy of the courses, of the programs, so their OBE comes into picture. And obviously the accreditation, that is the outcome-based education, is part of, you understand that it's part of the NAC also. Now, as I was saying, about the Washington Accord? Basically, the Washington Accord, you should know that this is an accord which is established in 1989 and the signatories as of 2007 means what now it has increased. So these are the countries. So by having an accord with based on the Washington Accord globally, so every institution recognizes that they have a substantial quality of programs which are at par with the global standards and the graduates who are basically passing out of these accredited institutions in any of the signatory countries, like India, also a signatory country, they are recognized by other signatory countries globally. So that is one big aspect of this. So that's the reason India has already a signatory of this Washington Accord, and we are there. And apart from that, many other countries are there. So if you see the history of outcome-based education, then it starts in 1988 where the William Spady he basically coins this term OBE. Then comes 1989, Washington Accord was created so that they can accept engineering degree obtained from OBE. And now, apart from engineering, other professional education also being accredited to it. But there is some differences between the engineering and the non-engineering. So, but Washington Accord is applicable to all professional certifying institutions. Then comes 1999, when Hardin published a report which describes OBE as a performance-based approach at the cutting edge of curriculum development of any higher education institutions. And in 2017, it Accord has 20 full signatories and 5 provisional signatories, where India is also there. Now, for the better understanding of the faculty and students, what do you mean by outcome? Basically, when we have the outcomes, we need, like in industries, we have, when we say outcome, means we know there has to have some results, but we always intend for the positive results because if you have negative, no issue, then we learn from the failures and we try to check up with and why these failures happened. Like Chandrayaan 3 is a very good example to learn from these aspects by not only by the professional but the academicians also. So how consistent and dedicated efforts and focused efforts they have focused on the outcomes. That they one day we have to land on moon, and so this outcome is very important because it is a clear learning results where learners, individual learners or group learners or institutional learners or organizational learners can demonstrate that what significant learning outcomes or experiences they have. So this is a process where, if I speak particularly for the institution, obviously this is a process for the institutions to restructure their curriculum so that they can have an assessment policy, assessment process, and they have some reporting practices so that they can reflect what achievements they can achieve from these particular courses or programs, which should be beneficial for the students. This is as per Tucker 2004. So there are two types of strategies for OBE. One is called teacher or centered approaches, and another is called student centered approach. So, okay, what is both of these? I will just let you know in the second page. This is this one. In case of teacher centered, they are mostly focused on planning the topics, writing lesson plans, delivering contents, assigning activities, assessing students. But however, it results what of the results should be in the student driven basically when we say the student driven or student centered approach, then it has to be converted to partners in planning, means students and faculties should partner in planning along with other stakeholders. Then choice of depth and scope of topics, that choice needs to be defined. Choice of how they will learn, they mean students will learn, and the teachers need to take the responsibility end to end for learning. And self peer assessment. Self assessment means student self assessment, and peer assessment means the assessment with your competitors. So as per the Bloom's taxonomy, this OBEs has basically falls in place. So here it starts with remember. So remember means recalling all the facts or basic concepts. Then the students needs to have the skills, cognitive skills to understand, so that they can explain their ideas and concepts, then apply, because that is the most important thing, part of the outcome. We should have the experience in learning so that we can apply in our day-to-day life the learnings which we had. Then we should also have this system for analyze, evaluate, and finally create, so that we can again create and recreate. This cycle should go on continually. So this is as per Nicholson 2011. This is a student-centered approach in education which focuses and intends to have learning outcomes which results from the instructions. Why it is required? Because the major benefits are through OBE approach, we can make the program student-centric, not teacher-centric. We can review and revise the curriculum time to time to, to show that our curriculum should be at par with the global standards and it should be realistic. We should have better tracking of the learnings in the students, assessing better, engaging students in a better way, and meeting accreditation requirements like internal requirements like NAC and BA and IRF, and external requirements like THE, QS. I am also a trainer to THE, QS, and Wall University ranking. So these are the accreditation requirements globally and nationally. It also addresses few questions like what do you want the students to have or able to do after passing out with graduate outcomes. how you can best help students achieve it. Means any aim or planning they have in their mind related to entrepreneurship or job, then whether they can achieve that after the completion of this course or program, and how will you know that what they have achieved it? So is there any parameters, quantitative parameters to assess whether this course or program which they have attended is successful in meeting their aspirations? And how do you close the loop? Because when you have the quantitative aspect, obviously we need to close the loop. It should be a closed-ended process. It also addresses few key questions like what are our stakeholders, means your stakeholders. Your stakeholders can be your parents, the government, industries, organizations, then your investors and all this. What services do we provide? Do constituencies understand our objective? Constituencies means your the law of land, means your wherever you're operating in India, or suppose in India, then whether your requirements of India is being met. What services, what facilities and policies are present or should be present? Are we going to measure our results? How do we use these results for QCI? Are we achieving our objectives and improving? And are we and our constituencies are satisfied or our country has satisfied? So obviously it has three approach. It starts with identifying your desired outcomes. Then you need to decide on strategies, methodologies to achieve those outcomes, and then determine the assessment. Because here in OBE, assessment is very, very important for achieving the outcomes. So for this, I've given some steps. These slides will be shared with you. The first step, how to go about it. First, you have to write good outcomes. It should be in such a way that it should be attractive for the students. It should be comprehensible. It should be attainable, and it should be coherent. Second, you have to familiarize two models of curriculum. First model is is content. Second model is curriculum is outcome. So you should focus on curriculum is outcomes. Because in case of Model A, you have to plan the curriculum which needs to be taught. Module B needs to that you need to plan the outcomes, ensure that they are accessible through offline, online, and plan the learning activities. In Model A, you teach the curriculum contents, but in Model B, you need to provide required resources, supports, and feedback to the students so that they can learn during the learning process. In Model A, you have to give feedback to aid the students' learning. In Model B, you need to ensure that they receive the feedback, they have attained the course outcomes, whether they are meeting their outcomes or not. In Model A, you have to assess what students have learned, but in Model B, you have to assess and need to have a detailed feedback to each students about their progress so that they can also learn wherever they are lagging. Third is effective course delivery. Now, how to effectively deliver the course as per UGC guidelines. Now, DEB, Distance Education Board, has allowed the online educations with contact classes to be at par with the offline classes. So here the responsibility of teachers is that they need to be very careful in planning the contents. They need to have the teaching strategy. They need to incorporate new delivery strategies so that they can address the specific problems of the students as per the learning ability of the students, and also the responsibility of students that they must be responsible for their own learning, and this is required. Now you have to adopt the OB delivery modes. So here you have various delivery modes like face-to-face, active, cooperative, collaborative, technology-based delivery through online system, work-based learnings. So these are the delivery modes. So here we can have lectures and speakers. So where we can have in active case we can have presentation, tutorials, seminars. In case of cooperative collaboration, we can have problem-based, case studies, project-based. Technology-based online learning, teleconferencing, simulations, like we are doing technology-based deliveries for all of you. And in case of work-based learning, it has to be practical. Industrial training needs to be there, work attachments, field trips, and visits to industries and organizations. Then you have to apply the four common teaching situations associated with teaching learning assessments. Okay. So here activities, teaching learning activities. So the situation I lecture, the teaching activities normally is talk, explain, clarify. But learning activities is listen, take notes, accept queries, discuss with peers, 1 minute paper, something like. In case of tutorial situation, teaching activities, you have to answer questions, provide feedback. Learning activities normally is pre-read, prepare questions, learn from the peers, critique, and analyze. Project situation is you need to have a set brief, provide ongoing feedbacks. Learning is apply, create, self-monitor, communicate, teamwork. And problem-based learning, which is a part of outcome-based education, is set problems to provide feedback. In case of learning, it should be set learning goals. There has to be goals. It cannot be open-ended. Design, apply, access, desired contents, integrate, and solve problems. So there are three principles of OBE. First is clarity of focus, means your focus will be very clear. Design down, high expectations and expanded opportunities. Now breaking down, first is clarity of focus. What does it mean? That any of the activities of the teachers, like you are involved in teaching, knowledge sharing, or assessment, you need to focus on what knowledge you are actually trying to give it to the students so that they can gain the skills and knowledge that they want for them to develop. Related to high expectations means they should set up high expectations and benchmarks, because see, benchmarking is very important. Without benchmarking, you cannot compare yourself with the peers, not only from India but also from overseas. And also you need to have such benchmarks so that you can simulate your students' mind, means mind mapping. They should means teachers should encourage students to implement those learnings they have learned, means experience in learning and skills, so that they can induce the situation in which they are in. Third is expanded opportunities, means this is that not all students can learn the same thing. As I said, every students have their own learning abilities. Okay, now you have to cope with those situations so that the students which are having lesser learning abilities can also take part into it, and they can also succeed with higher standards. Design down means the faculties and teachers, they have to, this is called top down approach or design down approach. So they have to look backward the historical aspect of it, of the outcomes in which they know that what are the demonstrations made by the students earlier. They need to simulate those things of the failure, and so that in coming future those things are taken care of and they can have different styles of teaching. So why it is important? Because what do you want the students to learn? As I said, learning outcomes. Then why should they learn it? That is motivation. How can you best help students to learn? That is called teaching strategy. And how will you know they have learned or not? This is called assessment. So this is then coming to continual quality improvement. So CQI, as I said, is continual quality improvement. It is the assessment and evaluation process, part of the OBE, which provides the teachers and the faculties and also the management of the institutions about the informations, critical informations about the lectures and administration on the effectiveness of the design, delivery, and direction. It also helps to achieve the requirements, which is for the improvements from the evaluations, which will close the system loop, and process will continue year after year. It's a continual process. So normally we have two approach of OB. One is called traditional or transitional, which actually emphasize on student mastery, and second is transformational, which emphasize on long-term cross-curricular outcomes, which are related directly to the student futures. And this is the focus of NEP 2.0, that your OBE should be transformational or not traditional. Because the problem with the traditional education system is that we know that we have earlier the old age methodology, which has now getting changed. It does not have any major quantitative measures. There's no correlation between what is being taught in the class and what is actually the industry is expecting. There's a huge gap. It does not incorporate feedbacks from the industry, what industries are requiring. Institutions are not interested to it. It does not encourage students to apply their learning when they pass out and apply for the job. And there's a huge gap between what they learned and what is need of the industry. And there is obviously no continuous improvement process in the education system. But however, in the case of outcome-based education, we have some challenges which we need to fill in. First is lack of unified process. Presently, it is being seen, it is slowly coping. Many institutions are coping that there is no uniform process, that it should be basically a institutional process or your educational system process. So every institution is having their own set of outcomes. So that's the reason it's difficult to cope with the global standards, and that confusion is still persisting. Second is poor data accuracy. Every institution doesn't have that much of data capturing, so data accuracy or information accuracy is not correct. So any action taken on those data may result into some other results, not intended results. And there is a case of devalued classroom experience, like teachers, faculties are focusing on the new innovative approach to enrich the students' experience. Additionally, all the workload for incorporating OB, additional efforts and calculation is basically not made by the faculty because they are so overloaded with this aspect of teaching and the NDP 2.2 implementations and implementing OB, they actually fall short of how to do the assessment. So that is creating a devaluation. And obviously the human errors. So there are lots of human errors because the statistical methods are different. So I suggest that every institution should have that statistical approach which is being laid down by the new education policy framework, or they can also have discussion with the peers, their competitors or global standards, and you should take one which is more relevant because otherwise different type of statistical approach will provide you different because there will be many research gap and many you can say hypothesis may be wrong, and due to which your results will be wrong. And little or no importance given to feedback. If they get feedback also, then institution or faculties are not taking care of it. That is also a challenge. So this is what I discussed, and this is my contact number. You can note down if you need any more support on case of how to go for the statistical approach to attaining OB results, or if you had any more informations required, like hands-on preparation for the NAC, NBA, and WUR, World University Rankings, like THE, QS, and all these things, Shanghai ranking, then obviously you can approach me. I'm very happy to guide. So with this, what I'm saying is, 1 minute. Now I'm open for the questions to all of you. If you have any, then you please you can ask.
Yeah. A final call to the participants to just ask the queries in the chat box so that they can be answered from Prantal sir. Yeah,
One
questions
thing
I will share later
One
in the
thing I would
event.
like to one thing I would like to add on that see why it is called outcome, because education, everyone understand what is education. Okay, it can have practical approach, it can have theoretical approach, but why outcome? Because we need to understand that in spite of giving so much of education to our students, why we don't have that level of competencies in our industrial requirements, or why don't we have so much of competencies for entrepreneurial ecosystem. So that is the questions which is being giving lot of pressure to our policymakers and stakeholders, and that's the reason NEP 2.2 come into picture. So here everyone should be very very careful, for the students also and for the faculties, that your education and whatever education you are getting, it should have the outcome, positive outcome, which should impact the economy of the country and also obviously the globe. So our research should also be like that. It should be applied research, because a normal research doesn't have much of the outcomes. So applied research needs to be there. And you can see the glaring example of this recent event of Chandrayaan 3, where you can see each and every step for the last 4 years is focused on the outcomes. So if you are really focused on the outcomes, I must say to students that you will excel in your field, whatever field it may be. It may be engineering, it may be science, it may be humanities, it may be arts, it may be law, it may be medicine, any field. No field is inferior. All fields are important for the globe. So if you need to excel to it, you cannot excel just by theory. You have to excel only if you have the experiential or the impact of that learning what you have understood, and you are in a position to apply for it. For this, you need to be a risk taker. You need to be a what you can say. You need to be very very focused. You need to be dedicated. You should have big dreams, like ABJ Kalam used to say, no, dream big. There is no wrong in dreaming big. If you dream big, then obviously you will attain something. If you have no dreams, then what will attain? Just attaining a degree from an institution is of no importance in present situation. I am from the industry for the last 27 years, and I have seen that we are also very scary while we are recruiting, because we don't want to open again a training institution here in the industry to train the graduates who are already being taught for last suppose 4 years in engineering, or you can say 4 years. Now everything is 4 years. The 4 years in the bachelor's. Now again, we need to invest 1 more year for training them. So what is the need of the education institutions? What they did basically, because we need to develop the cognitive skills of the students, not the just the skills which is needed for appearing for any written exams and getting like a 90 or 95% marks. That is not important. Important is how much education they have, applied education they have, like applied science, like applied arts, like applied medicines, like applied law. Everything is applied due to intervention of artificial intelligence. Computers can do much better job than us. If you are not developed our cognitive skills, and so then it is very right that machines will overcome us. But machines will want cannot overcome us unless and until we are having that acumen of applied part of it. And obviously, uh, they cannot overcome our emotions. But still, we don't know. If you see the artificial neural network, which is the advanced stage of AI, it is also trying to cope with. Understand the human emotions, then obviously it will be very difficult for those, and also for the survival of the fittest. That who will be surviving? Those who have the upper edge on the technology, upper edge on the situations of the economy, upper edge on their domain, means their subjects. Then only they will survive. Otherwise, it is very difficult. In coming years, maybe in 2 3 years, we will see there are a lot of paradigm shift happening in case of economic and its development. So education institution has very big role to play in this particular area, and it is not. And also, we are not having much time now. Government is also pressurizing that it is a situation of do or die. So think about it, and I understand that once you get this PPT, you will be having more questions, then you can obviously you can connect with me.
Thank you, Pranjal sir, for an informative session today. Now I would like to call upon our respected director, Sir Dr. Suman Shukla, sir, to conclude the session.
Hello and namaste to all of you. It was really a great informative session. I'm sure that all the participants must have enjoyed the FDP and learned the various aspects of OBE. I extend my heartiest thanks to all the resource persons, Mr. Asutosh Sharma, Mr. Anjani Kumar Sinha, and today's expert, Dr. Pranjal Kumar Fukal, for the knowledge and guidance what they have
पढ़ ही
given.
रहा हूँ, पेपर भी पढ़ रहा हूँ यार। अभी दिन हो गया कि नहीं पढ़ पाया,
Amit
बट
sir,
जुगाड़ किया है। अब उसको थोड़ा पढ़ रहा हूँ, पढ़ के एक बनाऊंगा। बनाया नहीं।
sorry sir for the
My
delay.
special thanks to ICT for conduction of such a wonderful program. My sincere thanks to all the participants who joined the FDP and shared their knowledge. I hope that all the faculty members use the knowledge gained from this FDP and they'll use it in their teaching learning process in their classrooms and eventually help in making the institution where they are serving a better learning place. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Pranjal, for sparing your precious time and addressing the faculty members who are attending this FDP.
Thank you once again, sir. Thank you very much. It is my pleasure to interact with you all, and looking forward
Thank you,
for
sir.
having such sessions more. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you
sir.
to
Thank you.
all. Thank you all participants.
Namaskar.
So last announcement for all the participants, the feedback link is already shared and the certificate will be received to all the participants who have attended the training for at least 2 days. So they'll be receiving the certificate in the next 7 working days. Most probably by 4th or 5th September, we will try to release all the certificates. Yeah, thank you all. Looking forward to see you in the other FDPs we will schedule later. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, please kindly provide the feedback.